Well, joining me now to discuss this is Gideon Chitanga. He's an international relations and political analyst and is currently a researcher at Maximilians Universitat Munchen. Thank you so much, Gideon, for speaking to us. So it does seem that this election could head to a runoff if there isn't a majority. Who do you think is the stronger candidate here?
Well, it's difficult to give a smart guess, but I would have thought that barring the failures of President Chakwera, he looks younger, more energetic, and surely he should be in a position to at least to continue to be given the mandate to continue into his second term. The problem with the other candidate at 85, he's really too old, and under the circumstances, especially the severe economic circumstances that Malawi is in, he does not offer anything new to the electorate. And I think that is the main challenge. But that, as it is, the conditions in Malawi, the economic conditions are quite dire. And I think that the voters will be thinking by their stomachs, basically the hunger in their houses as they go to the ballot. And President Chakwera has not done much to reboot the economy. Malawi is very much economically stagnated. And I think drought also has worsened the conditions. So this is a very serious situation, and possibly the main challenge is going to be political apathy and lack of enthusiasm, particularly from the youth.
And when we talk about the economy as a major issue, of course, what are some of the reasons that the economy is doing so poorly at the moment? Because I believe that under Mutharika, there was some sort of economic turnabout, but Malawi has always been a country that's also heavily reliant on foreign aid.
Yes, Malawi relies very much on foreign aid because of the general exposure to climate change and droughts or floods. Previously, increased donor aid used to shield the country by creating social safety nets for the ordinary people who would benefit from aid. And I think that helped to sustain households. That has actually decreased because of factors, not necessarily domestic to Malawi, but international factors. The second thing is agriculture is becoming increasingly very difficult, and agriculture is the mainstay of the economy in Malawi, exporting tea and tobacco. And the weather, the unpredictable weather conditions are making it difficult. The lack of foreign currency is also making it difficult to get seed and fertilizers and so on. Um, the issues are compounded because Malawi is a very small economy. So without considered, deliberate smart economic policies, particularly towards agriculture, it is very difficult to maneuver or create room within its economy to at least grow the economy.
Absolutely. Gideon, just before we run out of time, I also want to touch on something you mentioned there, and that was voter apathy. Do Malawians feel or have more faith now in their voting system, considering what happened in 2019 and that controversial election? Has the system changed at all to give them more faith in that?
So the contestation in 2019, the rerun actually raised optimism, and a large population of Malawians went out to vote. The skepticism and the lack of optimism arises from the fact that people just see that nothing has changed under Chakwera, and they do not believe so much that Peter Mutharika or any other candidate can drastically transform the economy and improve their economic conditions. Young people who continue to suffer from lack of unemployment and aggravated poverty, and a lot of them take intense risks going to South Africa or other countries. They do not believe that the political system or the political actors have what it takes to transform the economy.
Gideon Chitanga, it's been really good to get your analysis on all of this and explaining it to us. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
The Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives has led a vigil at the Capitol for right-wing influencer Charlie Kirk as the Trump administration threatens a crackdown on groups it says are inciting violence. Kirk was shot dead last week during a speaking event at a university in Utah. Lawmakers gathered on Monday inside the Capitol, including Republicans and Democrats. Speaker Mike Johnson urged Americans to unite.
This has been a very difficult week in America. There's a wide range of emotions that have been felt by the American people and, frankly, by leaders in the nation's capital around the country who are united in this cause. We pray that you would encourage them, encourage their hearts and their spirits, and all of us as Americans to stand for those great things and to remember that we are indeed one nation under God.
Well, Donald Trump considered Kirk a friend and credits the influencer with helping him win the last election. The president, though, is now talking about declaring some groups domestic terrorists, while the Vice President, J.D. Vance, hosted Charlie Kirk's podcast from the White House. Our correspondent, Andy Rosegen, has more details. He's in Washington, D.C.
The Trump team is planning some sort of crackdown on liberal groups. The accusation is that they are engaged in some sort of coordinated effort here to foment violence against conservatives. Although there's been no evidence presented of that, the Trump team is really painting a broad brush here. And in fact, there's no evidence at all that this suspected killer of Charlie Kirk was involved in any group at all. On top of that, you mentioned the Vice President, J.D. Vance. He's telling Americans now they should go online, and if they see a post from somebody who is anyway mocking Charlie Kirk's death or condoning it, that they should turn that person into their employer to get them fired. And then in the last couple of hours, the Attorney General really pushed this even further. In an interview, she said she was talking about this woman in the state of Michigan who worked at an office supply store. And this woman was asked to print up a bunch of flyers for a Charlie Kirk memorial. Well, the woman refused to do that because she didn't like Charlie Kirk. Well, now, the Attorney General is suggesting that woman could actually be prosecuted for some sort of crime for refusing to print up flyers, although it's certainly unclear what kind of crime she could be prosecuted for. So you've got critics of the Trump administration and free speech advocates who are horrified by all of this, saying that the Trump team is taking America down a very dangerous path here, and pointing out that Charlie Kirk himself was a big free speech advocate. In fact, last year he posted on X, he talked about hate speech, ugly speech, evil speech, he said. All of it is protected by the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. So this has really turned into a snowballing divisive issue. The suspect, Tyler Robinson, later on this Tuesday, he will be in court for his initial court appearance. That is usually just a perfunctory kind of a court appearance where they let him know what kind of charges he's facing. But the FBI is suggesting that there might be others here who, at the very least, maybe knew about this plot to kill Charlie Kirk in the days before it happened. You know, so often these young men get on Discord where this suspect was talking to people. Did other people in this group chat know what he was going to do? They're investigating that. Donald Trump will attend Charlie Kirk's funeral, his memorial, in Phoenix on Sunday. But like I said, as this case moves forward, this has unleashed a wave of divisiveness across this country that is likely to play out for weeks, months ahead.
U.S. President Donald Trump has announced he's suing the New York Times, 4 of its reporters, and publisher Penguin Random House for $15 billion over alleged defamation. The Trump suit cites a series of New York Times articles, one of which said he was unfit for office. He also singled out the paper's public endorsement of Kamala Harris in the 2024 presidential election, calling it a virtual mouthpiece for the radical left Democrat Party. Trump's lawyers have accused the publication of harming Trump's business and personal reputation, thereby causing massive economic damage to his brand value. Ukraine says Russia has attacked the southeastern city of Zaporizhia, killing at least 1 person. The early morning airstrikes ignited several fires in buildings, including homes, as well as vehicles. At least 10 strikes reportedly hit the city. A child is among the 7 people who have been injured. TRT World's Joel Flynn is near Kyiv at the site where a drone factory was struck by Russian drones.
We're at the location of a drone strike that happened just about 6 hours ago. We're near Vasilkiv in the Kyiv region. This is a building materials warehouse that was struck by a single Shahed drone this morning. You can see the level of destruction that is caused by just one of these Shaheds. The entire facility not only rendered inoperable, but wrought iron, steel, and everything that was contained within it, all gone. It has taken huge numbers of emergency rescue workers to try and put out this fire. We have been told by some that this will go on into the evening. These sorts of locations are regular targets of Russian drone strikes, but we've also learned that there's an oil facility nearby, as well as a railway infrastructure that has also been hit by additional drones as well. This is just one of a number of drone strikes that Ukraine has seen overnight. Huge fires and instances of explosions as well, particularly in Zaporizhia in the south. Reports that at least one person has died in that, multiple injured, as well as 2 children, according to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. The impression is very much that Russian targets are now trying to hit Ukrainian infrastructure, particularly heading into the autumn and winter colder months. You can see the sort of response that just this single Shahed warrants. We have counted more than 30 emergency response vehicles, scores of individuals that have had to attend to this single drone strike. When you multiply that around the huge numbers of drones that are regularly hitting Ukraine, almost nightly now, it begins to give this impression of just how difficult it is for people to respond to these sorts of attacks. Volodymyr Zelensky has said just in the last 2 weeks alone that more than 3,500 Russian drones have hit targets or been launched against targets in Ukraine, more than 190 missiles as well. There has been talk for some months now that peace may be in the offing, that negotiations with Vladimir Putin could lead to a cessation of this conflict. This war only feels like it's getting worse, though.
It's time now to check in with the sports desk. Charlotte Bates is here for us. And Charlotte, I think all the football fans are very happy because it's a Tuesday, and it also means that the Champions League is back, jam-packed with matches.
Yeah, as you say, it's a league phase with match day 1 beginning on Tuesday for the next 3 days. And we've got the likes of 6 Premier League sides, Arsenal, City, Liverpool, as well as some Spanish heavyweights, Real Madrid, and all looking to combat PSG, who of course the defending champions. So we'll have all the details on that coming up next. Yes, Champions League is upon us once again as Europe's most elite club begins their race to the title on match day 1. Tuesday marks the start of a jam-packed 3 days Champions League week as the league phase begins, and some of the world's biggest clubs are attempting to dethrone reigning champions Paris Saint-Germain. 6 Premier League teams, Spain's heavyweights of Barcelona, Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid and Bayern Munich will all back themselves to topple PSG. So let's take a look at Tuesday's 6 fixtures. PSV welcome Union Saint-Gilloise with both sides desperate to start well. Spain's Athletic Club go head-to-head with Premier League giants Arsenal. Benfica and Juventus host Karabag and Dortmund respectively. 15-time champions Real Madrid welcome 1993 winners Marseille. And finally, Europa League champions Tottenham play Villarreal in North London. And sports correspondent Lance Santos was at Tottenham training ahead of Thomas Frank's first ever Champions League game.
Spurs are back in the big time. Tottenham's reward for winning last season's Europa League, a spot among Europe's elite in the Champions League. And it all kicks off on Tuesday night in North London with a crucial game against Villarreal. Now, it's been a summer of change for Tottenham Hotspur. Ange Postecoglou was given his marching orders after a dismal Premier League campaign, so Tottenham finish just above the relegation zone, winning European silverware, not enough to keep the Australians' job. In comes Thomas Frank, a new approach, pragmatic, disciplined, and organised, has worked wonders so far for Thomas Frank at Tottenham Hotspur in the English Premier League, winning 3 of their first 4 games, losing 1-0 to Bournemouth, the only goal that Thomas Frank's side have conceded so far this season. And among those wins, a huge win at the Etihad over Manchester City. So Tottenham come into this game off the back of a 3-0 win against West Ham, rivals West Ham, away from home. So you'd say the Thomas Frank era has started off pretty well. Now, the club has also backed their new man, bringing in a handful of very promising attackers. Xavi Simons, the biggest name of them all, got his tenure off with an assist against West Ham at the weekend. It'll be interesting to see if Thomas Frank plays him on the left or as a number 10 in the middle, because remember, Tottenham Hotspur have James Maddison out for the season. Randall Kolo Muani was also brought in late on deadline day, yet to feature. Villarreal started their season strong, winning their first 2, including a 5-0 win over Girona, but they followed that up winless in their last 2, coming into this fixture away from home to kick off their European campaign off the back of a 2-0 loss at Atletico Madrid. Now, their record as well against English teams is woeful in Europe. In 14 attempts, yet to win a game. Now, all signs point to a Tottenham win so far, and you get the feeling that the way Thomas Frank has started, anything but the 3 points would be seen as a bit of a disappointment here in North London.
Now, Saudi Arabian side Al Ahly are celebrating a remarkable comeback in the Asian Champions League campaign, a thrilling match that delivered 6 goals. Defending champs Al Ahly were 2 goals down at home against Nasaf Kwashi in the first game of the new AFC Champions League elite season. The hosts really turned on the magic in the second half when Enzo Milot scored 2 goals in a 3-minute spell, and then 2 more followed in stoppage time. Ex-Man United, Man City player Riyad Mahrez and Mohamed Suleiman sealing the 4-2 come from behind victory. And it was a bit of a late show as well in the Al Wada game against 10-man Al Ittihad tie. Rushan Pimenta scored the match winner in the 8th minute of stoppage time. Al Wada triumphing 2-1 in this contest. Well, elsewhere, Iraqi club Al Shorta and Al Saad played to a 1-1 draw in their opening match in Baghdad. Dominique Mendy's goal for the hosts was cancelled out by Hassan Al Haydos for the Qatari side for a share of the spoils. Now, over at the World Athletics Championships, Armand Duplantis continues to rock the sport with his record-breaking antics in the pole vault. The Swede took gold and then soared to a 15th world record in becoming the first human to clear 6 meters and 30 centimeters. A captive audience in Tokyo stayed to watch a 25-year-old pick up his 3rd successive world title with a clearance of 6 meters, 15 centimeters. Mondo, as he's known, then raised the bar a centimeter above his previous world best and nailed the vault with his final attempt of the night. The 25-year-old has now claimed the past 8 global pole vault gold medals on offer, both indoor and outdoor, and is not stopping quite yet.
I knew that it was very possible to make it. I just needed to put a really good jump together, just trying to get all the little numbers right and whatnot, and then I just need a good pole vault jump too. And so I really wasn't I was kind of chilling. Yeah, just trying to channel the energy of everybody, but also remain calm and just do the jump that I knew that I could do, basically.
And there was drama on the track with Alphonse Felix Simbu snatching gold in the marathon by just 0.03 seconds. Germany's Manuels Petros looked set for first as the leaders came home after almost 2 hours and 10 minutes running. But a late surge from Simbu saw the Tanzanian runner claim gold in a photo finish by just 0.03 of a second. And that's the sport for now. Thanks for watching.
Charlotte, thank you so much for all those sporting updates. And if you'd like details on anything that you've seen in this news hour, be sure to head to our website. It's trt.global. Also plenty happening on our social media platforms. On X, you can follow us at TRT World. I'll see you again on Wednesday at 13 GMT. My colleague Per Nyberg will be here with all the day's top stories. Take care. Bye-bye.